How you market yourself, your personal brand. All right, so I'm going to talk about a topic that I may not be qualified to talk on. So I'm going to give you that caveat initially. Um, I do not have a large, extensive personal brand at this point. As you can see, I've been doing a ton of videos here. Um, I don't have a huge social media following, so on and so forth, right? Okay. But it is very interesting to see how different people present themselves to the world. And I have seen, I think, some people making a mis- what I want to say is a mistake. Okay, now it could be wrong. It could just be that my ego's offended at the way that they're presenting themselves, and I need to just get over it. Okay, um, but there are some people who very kind of forthrightly just put out there, "I'm a master at X" or something like that, or "I am you know, here are the amazing successes that I'm having." And I think there is a smart way to convey all of that information that is that does get you the results that those guys are looking for. So that people respect you, they look up to you, they come to you for solutions, all those things, right? So those are excellent, and it's not promoting oneself. I don't have a problem with that, right? What I'm thinking about now mostly is in terms of messaging, which is how do you promote yourself in a way that doesn't turn people off, right? So I think, Donald Miller's teaching here, I think, is probably as relevant here as anywhere, in terms of position yourself as the guide and not as the hero. So I think people have a lot of tolerance for people who are guides, like, in fact, even desire to hang out with people who are guides. And, um, and yet, I think if you present yourself as the hero, that's where things can be problematic. Now, in the two cases I'm thinking of right now, these people are more or less my peers. So I wonder if part of the fact that I kind of react a little negatively to it is the fact that, I think, well, I'm just as cool as you are, so why are you saying that you're so great? So it could be an ego thing on my part, and maybe that messaging might actually work for people who are not as far along in their as they are in whatever endeavor that they're doing. Um, Another dynamic that I think I may have observed already is that these people sometimes do not actually feel necessarily like they are such an amazing individual, right? Like they maybe come through some hard things, or they maybe struggle to find their niche, or whatever it is. And so when they feel like they have a success, they feel like, woohoo, I'm going to celebrate, I'm going to shout this to the world. And to them, it may not really be a prideful thing. It may just be like, woohoo, like, hey, I finally succeeded at this thing, right? This really worked. Yay, I'm so excited. And what can get lost, I think, is that people might look at it and be like, oh, they're on another ego trip here, or there they go again, talking about how great they are. And in reality, maybe they don't feel egotistical inside, right? But the way that they're communicating it can come off as kind of egotistical. So, um, you know, it's a free world or a free country, as they say. You can make whatever self-promoting statements that you want to make, and fortunately, we're not forced to be each other's friends on social media or whatever. Um, I think you can make kind of the far opposite mistake too of like never promoting yourself in any meaningful way, and you could have amazing skills and amazing talents, and people wouldn't know about it because you really haven't marketed those effectively. So, I think there's plenty of ditches to go around here, if you will. But I think that would be my encouragement to you, and perhaps my encouragement to myself, is to think about, not that it's wrong to promote or to let people know about your successes. In fact, I think it's very good. But I think you need a health, like you need to be very careful with that, I think. So I think you need, like, I don't know what the ratio is, but let's say three. Either needs to really it really needs to be in the context of empathy, I think, right? So like, here's how you can solve this problem, and oh, by the way, I know this because it worked for me. Or I know you really sometimes struggle with this. I really feel that. In fact, I struggle with that too for many years, and it was really tough. But then I discovered that if I did it this way, I would have this kind of result. Um, so leading with empathy, I think, is really huge, and not getting so. Be aware that your own insecurities could make you overcompensate, right? That you could get too self promotional and fail to realize that people don't see the inside of you necessarily. They don't necessarily see that you feel like maybe that you feel inferior a lot of times. And so whenever they hear you promoting, they're hearing someone, they're seeing someone, and their vision of you is someone who's like hyper egotistical. In reality, you may not feel egotistical at all, but that may how it, maybe how it come off because you're only maybe almost all of what you're sending out to the world is very directly self promotional and without the context of where you're coming from, of the struggle, the difficulties, the challenges, they're not prepared to have empathy for where you're coming from. So it's kind of like there's got to be this mutual exchange of empathy, if you will, for us in order to be able to celebrate successes together. I think. Anyway, there are my ramblings on the topic. Like I said, I may not be qualified to speak on it, but hey, it's a free country. I can talk about it if I want. Take care.